So here's another one. It had nothing to do with technology. Vikings came before Europeans, clad in armor and far more brutal than the indigenous, yet we still prevented them and stopped them. First of all, Vikings are Europeans. The Vikings come from Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, and that's Europe. Now if you want to talk about the Vikings, I know about the Vikings too. Anyway, what you're talking about is Leif Erickson, when he landed in the Americas, in North America, way up north in Newfoundland. Now I'm gonna put a map here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now when I speak my history, I'm talking about when the Spaniards invaded the Americas. First they came to the Caribbean, then they hit Mexico, then they went south to South America, north to what is now the American Southwest, and they've been fighting with the natives ever since then. Now what you're talking about has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Vikings did come before the Spaniards. You said they came before the Europeans, but they are Europeans. They're just anyway, Spaniards, French, English, they're all Europeans, but they came and hit this part from 1492 onward. And yes, the Vikings did hit North America around the 10th, 11th century, and they were fighting with them. And they obviously must have defeated them because they have a couple Viking settlements. There's one right there. They have a couple Viking settlements still today that they found, but the Vikings must have left. So they must have been defeated or they just bounced. But there is written things that they fought. Now, as for armor and technology, yeah, the Vikings had armor. This is the type of armor they had. But the Vikings were about 500 years, 400 or 500 years before the Spaniards invading America. So this is 500 years before the history I'm talking about. So the technology wasn't advanced. It's 500 years before that. So they did have armor. They had chainmail. They mostly used axes in their shields and their strength. The Native Americans also had weapons. They had spears, arrows, clubs, even boomerangs. Now they wore war paint and they went to war too. So it's not like they were just innocent people and they had never went to war. They were warriors. They actually had war councils. Now if you want to learn more about Viking history and all that, I could talk about that at another time. I'm just responding to this comment. Subscribe to my channel to learn more.